Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 16 breakdown for the box tournament that I ran with Zulu's Board Game Cafe for the One Piece card game. It was 64 players with the new restrictions in place as well, since that's going to be happening this Friday anyway. So I just want to host a tournament to help get people interested in seeing what kind of how the restrictions shaked up a little thing. So we have that. We also do have just kind of a website maintenance thing. I did get all the deck lists on Eggman events for the European event that happened. So they're all there. I wasn't going to make a separate video for it either, but I did have Darius ask me to go over their list. So we're going to be doing that at the end of this one. It's without the restrictions in it. So I'll probably remind you when we get to it, but there we go there. But anyways, if you guys want any of these deck lists or any of the other OP03 events that I've covered, make sure to check out my website, which is linked in the description, Eggman Events. Highly recommend it. It's a really good resource, and we're only going to be adding to it more as we get into this meta a little bit. So going into this one, we did have 64 players as mentioned. I do want to just shout out real quick just all the support. The live stream was really great. The fact that we capped out was amazing, and I really do appreciate everyone for showing up. So it was 64 players, 6 rounds of Swiss. We did stream it on Twitch, and it will be re-uploaded to YouTube sometime in the next week as well, but you guys can still watch it over there on Twitch. And we do also have the leader breakdown. Since this was my own event, I do get all the data for it. So we did have 17 Katakuris, 14 Zoros, 8 Trafalgar Laws, 8 Linlins, 4 Rob Lucci, 12 Crocodiles, and then just the rest of it there, so just 12. So really kind of diversity in the sense that there's a bunch of Katakuris, but to be honest, like not so much in the topping. Meanwhile, Zoro and Law is still eating pretty good for this, and then Linlin is also doing kind of well, I think, a little bit with the Katakuri, and then an Arlong and a Luffy to get into that top 16 too, with I think is really interesting. So we're gonna go over the top placing list for each one of these archetypes, starting off with their first place list, which is Victor's Trafalgar Law. And I think real quick, first place was Law and second place was Zoro, which immediately from the start of this meta, I think a lot of people are thinking these are the two best decks, and I think I tend to agree with them in that way. They do have a lot of still staying power. I know that Curly Dan is like the one card I think a lot of people are saying, okay, this is the next card. If we're hitting anything, it's going to be Curly Dan, but there's just a lot of power with this deck still, being able to get the recursion, everything. I don't think I have to tell you guys how good this deck is. Some tech choices for this one, the Nico Robin, which I think is honestly a pretty good pick, at least if you're thinking you're going to play against a lot of Zoros. I would say previously this wasn't a use as much because stuff like Newgate and others, just the range for Nico Robin's when attacking effect didn't hit every deck, but I think it's kind of been reinvigorated with the idea that you're going to be facing a lot of mirror matches, so I think this is a good card for the mirror match as well as Zoro. You can eat up a lot of cards with it, so a really good card there. I also do like the Luffy, even if it's only at 1. This is a fantastic card for getting around decks that just kind of like to sit behind blockers like Black, which I think is going to be a little bit more popular. It wasn't super popular for this event, but I think it will be in the next couple weeks as well. So obviously 1 Rad Beam because you can't run more. 1 of the Roronosaurs from the Star decks, and also the Brook there. So pretty standard list in the sense that from the bottom half, but I do like the couple of tech choices and picks there, and I think it did well for him. So congrats to Victor for their first place finish there. Next up we have our second place. So this is Ernesto with Zoro, and obviously Zoro kind of got hit in this ban list, at least for kind of the builds that are running more of the kind of top end kind of stuff, but we do still have enough pieces that I think the Zoro list that we see are still functional. So we have Marco's 4 of the OP03 and 1 max copy of the OP02 one. We have the 3-drop Zoro, a couple copies of, and then we do have a good amount of events. We have exactly 10 here, so we can't run 4 Rad Beams, of course, so we have 4 guard points, 3 Whitebeard Pirates, and also 2 of the Fire Fist to probably help out on the mirror match as well as during against Trafalgar Law, which is very strong for the deck. So being able to kind of stop them from there, I think, is fantastic. Otherwise, from that, we do have like a good amount of Gordon, I think, which was being phased out by the time the restrictions were announced, is back because of it too. We have again the Marshall D Teach, which is a lot of people kind of swear by this card or think it's bad. So I think this is going to be seeing a little bit more prevalence in the next couple of weeks, just because it is a Whitebeard's pirate. So you replaces Newgate, not maybe in sure power, but just as a searchable target that you can help find. So I think that's pretty solid for it. And then just kind of everything else. So a little bit more aggression because you can't kind of sit behind a Marco and Newgate. and kind of buy another turn, which this deck wouldn't, rely on as much as Newgate, but it did do that. And also, I didn't mention it yet, but man, there were no Newgates being played at this entire event, which I think was kind of neat, but also a little bit sad. So there we go. There is the Zoro list there. Congratulations to Ernesto for their finish there. Next up, we have Daniel with their Arlong, and literally like before we started this tournament, and you guys can check the VOD. It's on the same VOD. So I was doing a bunch of Arlong testing, and what I found is that the deck is actually not terrible right now. I think it has its own little like niche. The fact that Jin exists as a card, Jin is very good. This is a very strong card for you. So especially since Arlong is a deck that wants to go first, and there's so many decks that want to go second right now, I do think that it is a somewhat viable deck in this place. Whitebeard was probably one of its worst matchups, so being able to get that out of the gate, and then also being able to tech into Zoro and Law a little bit more, I think means that this is pretty viable in a lot of ways. So I recommend checking it out. Some kind of choice cards for this one. We do have like Cracker's probably the most important trigger card for us, especially since we're a 4-life leader. Just means that we are able to be able to play it pretty quickly and pretty fast, but also the double attack from it is moderately easy to get to. I do like running smoothies in the builds that I've been running just because it can help regulate your life to mean that you can get this double attack with that strong. Karubi is fantastic. He's such a good card. Being able to use this effect to rest something is great. We also do have like the Krieg and also the Linlin at the top and the Trafalgar Law. So I think there's a lot of room for these. Honestly, this is not very close to the build that I've been testing and running recently, but I do think Arlong does have a moment to shine, and there are some builds with him too. So this is the list here. Congratulations to Daniel for their finish there. Next up, we have our star deck Luffy, so Alex Kim, and I think more people may be trying out Luffy to do kind of a little bit more of what the Zoro was doing previously with the builds being more like destruction based. So I don't think this one is too greedy on doing like the board control. We're only running 3 Nico Robins, but I do think there are some lists for Luffy, like kind of towards the end of OP02, where we play the Mass Deuce, the Vista, as well as the Nico Robin. And 2 of those cards are searchable either from Nami or Izo if we decide to run that. But otherwise than that, it's somewhat what we're seeing a little bit. I do like this 4-drop Brook. It is really neat in the sense that you are able to use it to get stuff into range. It's a little bit slow because you have to play it and then you have to attack with it, but I still think that's pretty solid. There's also the Shanks. We're only running 1 copy of this card. I know a lot of people are wondering if we're going back to Shanks with the idea that Newgate's gone, so we do need some kind of big boss monster. And I don't know, he's not bad. I'm not saying that Shanks is bad, but he just doesn't fill the same slot at all. He is a big body. He has rush, which is kind of nice, but otherwise he's a little bit, I don't know, just aggression for something you want more mid-rangey, which I think Newgate is. So I still think you can play Newgate at 1 in this deck and maybe like a copy of Shanks if you want to, but I think Newgate would probably fulfill the purpose a little bit better. So we also are running 2 copies of Diablo Jambe and the Zoro and the Luffy, so there are a lot of ways for you to kind of sneak in some attacks and get some damage when your opponent's not expecting, which I think is strong. And then again, just a bunch of events, 4 Jet Pistols, 4 Fire Fist, which is great, which with both of these in potentially in your life, you can have a lot of destruction in there, and then the guard point and rad beam. So there it is there, and congratulations to Alex for their star deck Luffy. Next up, we have the 2 yellow decks. We have Frank on Katakuri, as well as the Charlotte Linlin, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's kind of understood what both these decks are looking like, at least shaping up to be. Katakuri is a little bit more, tempo based in a lot of ways, so we are a little bit greedy with 4 Crackers, 4 Smoothies, as well as 4 copies of Sparrow. And then the top end as well, 3 Linlins, 2 copies of the 8-drop Katakuri, and 4 of the 10-drop. So there's just a lot of strength in being able to hit these things on curve. You do have to be very careful, though, that you don't kind of brick up in hand with a lot of these cards that don't have counter cost. Shirahoshi is a good way to fix that, though, if you're able to see it in your life. The only thing I don't like about Katakuri is that you can't guarantee the cards that are your life. You just kind of get to know which cards are there already. So I think that's fine, but you do have to be careful that, you can just have 4 cards in your hand and just no counter power above it. So Thunderbolt, very strong. I know there's yellow kind of is flexible with kind of what event cards that you like to play, which I think is neat, man. These are the ones that were chosen by Frank there. So congratulations to Frank on their finish. And also we have Dylan with the Charlotte Linlin. And if you guys know me, it's the Linlin is my favorite favorite of the two. I like just the playstyle a little bit more, and looking pretty similar in a lot of ways. Only running Thunderbolts, having a 2-3-4, running 4 of the 4-drop Katakuris, which I think is a little bit much, but can get rushed, but I generally don't find myself seeing that too often. And I'm a little bit worried that it can clog up my hand, but unlike the Katakuri, you can put Shirahoshi into your life on purpose. You can put it as a 3rd life and have him attack into it, then refresh your hand if you need stuff. So also something I didn't mention outright was the Peckhams, which, just another 3-drop since there's not a lot of 3-drops for yellow right now. However, we do have Dylan choosing to play Charlie. So this is it's not a Big Mom's Pirate, so you do have to be careful about that. But it is a blocker, it has on play, look at the top card of your opponent's life, plays the top or bottom of owner's life. So, obviously, Katakuri does get that effect for free, but the fact that Charlie gets to do it for you and also be a blocker and just something to play on turn 3 if you've got nothing to better do, I think is an alright choice there too. And it has a counter cost, so you're not really missing out on anything. So other than that, everything I think is moderately standard. Again, yellow has a small card pool. There's not a lot of flexibility to get to do with it quite yet, but here we go there. And to wrap it up, we do have our build for Ace. So again, if you're skipped to this part of the video, this is Darius's from the Raid and Trade event that's on my website right now as well. I'm not going to make a separate video for that one, but I do want to just go over his list because he did ask nicely for it. So, and I do kind of just want to talk about Ace in general because everyone's kind of talking about, obviously Newgate got hit very hard, but I think Ace got technically hit harder just because it was moderately a worse deck than the Newgate. So it definitely played all those cards at 4, or at least the Marco and the Radical Beams. Newgate, you played 0 to 4 copies, dealer's choice in that way, but only 2 Newgates, but you can run to 1, but you just lost so much defensive power in this deck, and you kind of need it in a lot of ways. You do get to, the fact that Marco can be a blocker for you is fantastic. It can help you out in a lot of spots, but you just lose a lot, unfortunately. So I'm not sure how we're going to see Ace in the next couple of weeks. I would say it was impressive already to get Ace in the top 16 for an event, and now it's going to be very impressive if someone's able to do it. So good luck to your Ace players. I know that, again, this list will have to be radically different than what we got here, but I think Darius has a really good build, playing these 1-drop kind of early game things that you can buff up with Makino if you need to. Izo and Buggy, obviously pretty good choices, and then just kind of choosing your event cards from there, including the round table, 2 copies of this, which is not a Whitebeard's Pirate card, but give something minus 10k means that you can even have an Izo that you played early in the game attack over something really big and get the removal for it. So I think that's strong for you. Obviously can help you get things in range for Seaquake, which a 2-card combo like that is a little bit expensive in this card game, but it can work out. And also put something into Fire Fist range, which is a technically 3-card combo. But anyways, that is the list there, and congratulations to Darius for finishing probably one of the last tops with Ace, at least in the OP03 format. So there we go there. And that will be it for me. So again, thank you everyone who came out to the Zulu's Board Game Cafe winner box. It was a lot of fun. I hope to do another one soon. We might just wait until OP04, but we might do one in the next month. We'll let you know if we get prizing for it. But again, had a really, really good time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So that's going to be it for me. Again, make sure to check out the website, and I'll catch you all next time.